everybody, it's me, and today I want to talk to you about something that I did some research on and wanted to tell you all about. It is the Poltergeist franchise curse. Since the movies came out, there's been a lot of controversy about the curse of Poltergeist, and I have to say, from the things that I saw and read up on and heard and all the stuff that I've watched on this story, is I gotta say it's very hard to not think that it's a curse. So many things have happened. The death toll kept rising, and it was, in very bizarre situations. The first thing that I think, or other people think or believe, that caused there to be a curse was the fact that the makers of the film in 1982, that's when it was released. But the first film, they, you know how like the plot was this cul-de-sac, or whatever you want to call the little neighborhood that the Freeling family lived in. I think it was the father was a real estate agent, and that neighborhood was laid there and placed on top of a burial ground. And that's the story of the movie. But actually, when they were filming the movie, they, beyond my belief, they ended up using bones, real bones from actual people, the human remains. And I thought to myself, you gotta be joking me. Why would they not use fake bones? I mean, to me, that's just very morbid. It's very morbid. And when I heard it, I thought, well, no wonder there's a curse. So some of the things that took place in Poltergeist 1 was the little boy, the little boy in the family. I can't remember his name in the movie, but his real name was Oliver Robbins. Now, back then in the 80s, animatronic stuff had just started coming about. They just started using stuff like that, and if you weren't familiar with them, things could happen, I guess. That's the case with anything. But there was the scene, the part with the clown that's in the little boy's room and he's scared of it, and at one point in the movie it grabs him and it starts choking him. Well, during the making, Steven Spielberg was there, the director James Caan, and they were doing the scene, or filming the scene, of Oliver Robbins and this clown. Now, supposedly the not electrical, but the devices they would use to move the clown and everything was not working. It was broke. And somehow the clown was able to tighten around Oliver's throat. They thought, and he was struggling, he couldn't breathe. They're thinking, oh, well, he's such a really good actor, he's doing really well, until Spielberg sees him. He's frantic, he's turning blue, and he's like, whoa, this is real. So he shuts everything down, stops everything, and saves the boy's life, apparently, is from what they say. Another thing that takes place is Dominique Dunne, the actor that played Carol Ann's older sister. She would come home to her home after filming each day, or quite a few consecutive days in a row, and saw that books on her bookshelf had been like dropped in the floor or pushed off the bookshelf or something to that effect. Jo Beth Williams, the one that played the mother, she would come home every day to find her pictures on the wall were turned crooked. She'd fix them. The next day it would happen again. She'd fix them again, and it kept happening. That's odd. And just little other things would happen to the film crew, the actors, actresses, and so forth. And of course, as I think it's very kind of well known, 5 months after they wrapped the film, and it was released in 1982, Dominique Dunne was strangled to death by her boyfriend. I have to look back and see who that was. Something Sparks, I think. But anyway, he strangled her, and the situation surrounding that was, she was at home, she was in the middle of filming a new TV series called V. And her and a friend of hers, or her the other guy, the guy in the film or the show with her, they were running lines together at her house, and her boyfriend comes over. He wants to speak to her. She says, well, let's go outside. The other guy's still in the house, and her boyfriend was like 200 pounds, 6'1", something like that, and right in front of the guy in the house, the guy, her boyfriend, strangles her to death. The guy doesn't know what to do. He called police. They hung up on him. They said, if you're a real man, go out and take care of it, handle what's going on. And when he was so scared, so he ends up calling a friend of his and got his answer machine and said, if I die tonight, such and such did it. Well, the guy goes to court with it, and it only gets like 2 years or something like that. All right, now, and supposedly the curse doesn't end with movie 1. In part 2, the actor that played the preacher, Henry Kane, his name was Julian Beck. He was 60 years old and died of stomach cancer after the movie was released. And there in the movie, actually, I did not see part 2. I think I saw a little bit of part 2 years ago, but never saw the whole thing. And if I did, I don't remember it. I have to watch it again. But Will Sampson, he was a Native American shaman, Indian, and he was very much into believing, spirits. And when he found out that in part 1 that they used actual human bones, not only did they do that, but in movie 2, they did it again. And Will Sampson was very upset about this. He didn't like this. He thought that everything that was happening that was weird or bad was because of this. So he tells the film crew, and says something like, well, tonight, one of the days that night during the filming of the movie, he says, leave me the keys to the movie set. He goes in there, and that night he does a cleansing of the house. I'm not sure exactly all that he did, but it said that when he did that, after that, there felt like a peace about the place. It was very peaceful after that, and they thought that he took away the evil presence. Well, a year to the day after that, he passes away at the age of 53. He died of a heart-lung transplant. And they just all kind of looked at it as, in the movie The Green Mile, John Coffey, when he is, with his powers that he has, he can suck out like the bad things in somebody, but he takes it in and it breaks him down. And they kind of thought it was a little bit like that, it broke him down sort of, and that's what had killed him. It said almost to a year to the day after he did that, he passed away at the age of 53. Now, the father of the head of the family in the Poltergeist movies, what was his name? Anyway, I should have all my facts straight. But he was very skeptical about the curse. Very skeptical about it. Wasn't really into believing about stuff like that. So he decides one day, after Mr. Sampson has passed away, he goes to his gravesite. And he says that when he gets there, he's standing there and he hears all kinds of noises, like everyday outside noises. Crickets, animals, things like that. Stuff that you're going to hear, like in the wilderness or whatever, wherever you're at like that. He says that he comes up to the grave and he says, Will, it's me. He says as soon as he says that, everything goes deathly silent. There's no sounds of crickets, no sounds of anything. It's like he went deaf. And he said from that moment on, he was a believer. He tells everybody, what happened, and it said that it chilled him, it freaked him out. But after that, I think this part still had something to do with during the filming of part 2. James Caan, the director, he was writing part of the film, and as he was writing a part, it said outside there was like a loud clap of thunder and followed by lightning or something like that. And he said at the very moment that he writes that, outside there's a huge clap of thunder, lightning. There's a power surge in the room he's in. There's someone else in there with him. There's a power surge, lights and things like that are blinking on and off. They shut off, and the air conditioning unit flies across the room. Freaks him out. He says he still has chills to this day, and that is just something that he would never forget. Now, in part 3, I want to make sure I get this right. They were doing a scene in a parking garage, because I think it takes place at a hotel. I think Carol Ann, the little girl, is staying with her aunt and uncle. The uncle, I believe, is played by Thomas Garrett. She's there at the hotel with them, I believe. I did see quite a bit of that, but I don't remember the entire movie. But anyway, they were doing something in the parking garage with fire of some sort. There was something going on where they were doing something with fire, and somehow it became a raging inferno, and they could barely get it put out. In the parking garage, there were many cars and everything, and they said that there was millions of dollars worth of damage done because of that. Millions of dollars worth of damage done to cars that were in the parking garage and stuff like that, that it was just beyond their belief. But let's see, 2 people, I believe, died in that. It said that there was a man, part of the crew, or in making the film or whatever, had fallen asleep in a chair after filming or whatever, and somebody later went and tried to wake him up, and when they did, they touched him or something like that, and he fell out of the chair, falls on the floor, he's dead. I don't know exactly what killed him. Another very strange incident that took place, and I'm going to run out of time. So look, if you see this, please watch part 2 of this, because I'm going to tell you it's tragic what ended up happening later. But if you watch this part, please watch part 2. Don't just watch part 1 and not watch part 2, because the last bit of information that I have is very bad or very tragic and sad. So please, if you watch this, immediately watch part 2. All right, bye.